what is going on? She's just deleted her Twitter. She's getting called out because it was exposed, because an interview got
The Indiana Fever president is in panic after Caitlin Clark exposed her in front of the league. Fans are shocked and backlash is growing every hour.
I'm not joking when I say this. Something's gone weirdly wrong. Like, we literally hired a freaking chronically online G.
But hold up. This isn't only about a press conference or a viral clip. Something bigger is happening behind the scenes, and more details are now beginning to come out.
I've said before, and I will say it again. Stephanie White, Amber Cox, Kelly Crosscroft, the Indiana Fever president, they were not ready. Now, Christine Brennan in her book confirmed the WNBA and the Indiana Fever did not realize what they were about to get themselves into with drafting Caitlin Clark, because the popularity they weren't prepared for and didn't see.
Things have taken a sharp turn inside the Indiana Fever front office, and Caitlin Clark supporters are refusing to stay silent. The rookie, who has been filling arenas and boosting the WNBA's popularity, is now reportedly facing criticism from within her own organization. Team President Kelly made a comment that many fans felt was completely out of touch, saying, "We want the Fever to be like Apple." A remark that quickly sparked backlash online. Many interpreted it as a subtle slight toward Clark, suggesting she was being treated as secondary rather than the driving force behind the team's rise. Supporters argue that Clark is the main reason for the Fever's surge in relevance, with merchandise sales soaring and national attention increasing because of her presence. Instead of acknowledging that impact, critics say the organization appeared to downplay her influence. The reaction on social media was immediate and intense, with fans calling the statement disrespectful. Shortly after the controversy grew, Crosscroft's ex-Twitter account disappeared without explanation, fueling even more speculation. There was no official apology or clarification, only silence. However, the backlash continues and the situation is still unfolding as fans remain highly engaged and vocal.
Stephanie White, every single solitary move that you make is going to be scrutinized. Welcome to it. Right here.
Can tell someone is under pressure when they suddenly wipe their social media in the middle of a controversy. And that's exactly what Fever president Kelly Crosscroft did after her Apple comment about the team went viral in all the wrong ways. Fans reacted instantly. The moment the clip spread across X, Caitlin Clark supporters flooded the platform, calling out Crosscroft for what they saw as an attempt to reduce Clark. The biggest reason behind the WNBA's current surge in attention to just another piece in a corporate-style comparison. Why Friday night Crosscroft's X account had completely vanished. No statement, no clarification, no response, just silence. And for many fans, that silence was more revealing than anything she could have said. The backlash continued to build. Loyal supporters, including longtime season ticket holders who stayed with the franchise through difficult seasons, expressed frustration and disappointment, saying the front office is mishandling a rare moment of national relevance. Critics also pointed to ongoing concerns about Clark's treatment on the court, arguing she has been on the receiving end of excessive physical play, while officials have failed to consistently step in. In that context, fans felt the president's comments only added to the sense that her impact was being downplayed rather than recognized. Crosscroft stepping away from social media only fueled more speculation, with many seeing it as an attempt to escape the growing backlash. What started as outrage over a single comment has now turned into a wider trust issue between the fan base and the organization, and then Sophie Cunningham enters the picture. But that's where the story takes another turn.
I was a ref. I know I would mess up all the time. Yeah. Like, I'm not saying that your job is easy, but when it is a simple call right in front of your face multiple times, what are you doing?
Yeah. Just go tomorrow. You're on the Las Vegas Strip. What can the Las Vegas expect from Sophie?
Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna be me. I don't go in there trying to predetermine anything. I'm dialed in. I need to focus on hitting my shots, making sure I'm executing the schemes right. I'm not focused on the extracurricular activities. And you know what? During that, it was just part of the game. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build-up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA, and so. At the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do, and I'm a team player. So
Sophie Cunningham, often described as Caitlin Clark's bodyguard, and jokingly called the unofficial vice president of "Try That on Our Court, and You'll Get Dropped," has now shaken the league with her latest comments in the debut episode of her podcast. "Show me something," Sophie came out aggressively, music delivering a raw, unfiltered monologue that sounded like it came straight out of a sports drama. While she didn't name every target directly, her message made it clear she was pushing back hard against people downplaying Caitlin Clark's influence in the WNBA. At one point, she bluntly repeated the phrase, "You're literally dumb." A moment that quickly went viral across TikTok, YouTube, and X. But Sophie isn't just talk. She's known for her physical style of play, including a recent incident where she delivered a hard foul on a Connecticut Sun player after Clark was struck in the face during a game. She was ejected, but made it clear afterward that she stands by her approach, saying her job is to protect her teammates. This time, however, her comments went beyond opponents and officiating. Reports suggest she also directed criticism toward elements within the Indiana Fever organization itself, claiming that some of the disrespect toward Clark is coming from inside the team environment. That has led insiders to describe her podcast appearance as something of a line in the sand. What fans have already been sensing, a growing tension within the league between established veterans and rising viral stars, now appears to be playing out inside Indiana as well. And according to Sophie, she isn't interested in keeping things quiet anymore. Next,
wasn't a dirty play. It was an intentional foul, and it was meant to send a message. It turned into a scuffle, and I don't think anybody wanted that. But the way that the game went and how egregious the referees were and how they were not protecting players, and they especially weren't protecting the number one player in this league, the biggest draw in this league, which is Caitlin Clark, and they continue to not do that. To me, this was not a dirty play. This was making a statement because the referees didn't do their damn job. This would not have happened at the end of the game if the referees did their job during the first play. If the referees did their job, not just the first play, every single play leading up to that. If the referees had control of the game, that is their only job. The referees' first job, their number one job, is to protect their players.
Like, I get it to a certain extent, and like every rookie coming into the league, that's how you're going to treat them. But
Right.
there's just more for her.
let's be clear, Caitlin Clark is getting heavily targeted on the court. Hard fouls, physical contact, and repeated no calls from officials are becoming a pattern. If this were the NBA involving stars like Steph Curry or LeBron James, it would immediately trigger reviews, suspensions, and headline coverage. But in the WNBA, many fans feel Clark is getting play on treatment even after obvious contact. Take May 24th, Fever versus Liberty. Clark was driven into mid-play by Natasha Cloud on a close possession. The contact was clear, but no foul was called. Clark reacted in disbelief as play continued, and the Liberty went on to celebrate the moment. Sophie Cunningham also weighed in, saying there is just more for her, backing the idea that Clark is facing a different level of physicality. Fans argue this reflects a growing double standard, one they believe is becoming impossible to ignore. While some call it tough defense, others see it as excessive contact being allowed to continue. The situation has sparked intense debate about officiating physicality and whether Clark is being treated differently as a rookie star in the league next.
That we want to sustain the growth and the interest level in the franchise. I mean, this is about the Indiana Fever. Yes, we have a foundational player in Caitlin Clark and Leah Boston, and we're going to continue to add to that. But I want this team to be the leader in the country, and a brand, an enduring brand, like Apple or something. I mean, we have a real opportunity.
These things are clearly not settled behind the scenes in Indiana. And what started as simple drama now feels like a full-blown internal conflict. On one side are the front office executives trying to shape the Fever into a polished corporate-style Apple-like brand. On the other are fans and even outside voices who believe the reality is much simpler. Caitlin Clark is the brand. Music tension escalated after Fever. President Kelly Krauskopf was accused of downplaying Clark's impact, which many believe triggered a deeper divide within the organization. That's where Sophie Cunningham entered the picture. Rather than staying quiet, she pushed back publicly and forcefully against the narrative coming from the top. Insiders suggest her podcast comments weren't random emotion, but a deliberate response to what she heard internally. In doing so, she didn't just critique the league or opponents. She openly challenged her own organization in a very public way. For many, that wasn't just frustration. It was a clear sign of rebellion. What it exposed, according to fans and analysts, is an identity crisis inside the franchise. The Fever are trying to build a long-term powerhouse, but they already have a generational star leading the way. Instead of fully embracing that, critics argue the organization appears split on how to handle it. Some within the team reportedly see Clark as the undeniable future, while others are still focused on maintaining traditional control of the system. Fans are watching closely, and they are far from unaware of the tension. Music Sophie Cunningham clearly isn't either. And with the sudden disappearance of Kroskoff's social media presence, speculation inside and outside the franchise continues to grow. Next
Can take a look here.
What the WNBA is doing with Caitlin Clark is the equivalent of the NBA doing this to Michael Jordan in 1986. It just doesn't make sense to me. You are biting the hand that feeds you. Mind you, without Caitlin...
If this were LeBron James getting knocked to the floor after an eye poke, social media would explode instantly. Music SportsCenter would replay it nonstop. But when Caitlin Clark takes hard contact, misses out on whistles, and gets back up, the reaction from the league feels much quieter. Fans argue that the comparison is impossible to ignore. If someone like Steph Curry were getting repeatedly hit with no protection from officials, it would dominate headlines and trigger immediate league action. In their view, Clark is not receiving the same level of protection despite being the biggest draw in the game right now. She isn't just a rookie. She's the main reason attendance is up, arenas are packed, and TV ratings are climbing. Supporters say she has become the face of the WNBA almost overnight, yet still gets treated like an average player on the floor. Sophie Cunningham has publicly called the situation unacceptable, and even coach Stephanie White has reportedly voiced frustration during press moments about inconsistent officiating. Fans and media alike are noticing the pattern, but critics say the league itself has remained largely silent. For many, it raises a bigger question about how star players are protected and valued. Oh, supporters! Clark represents the future of the league, but the ongoing debate suggests a gap between that future and how things are currently being handled. Sophie Cunningham continues to speak out, and fans continue to push for answers.